As the Miami Dolphins push toward their preseason finale, the conversation isn't polite, and it doesn't leave room for easy conclusions. The cuts are coming. The 53-man roster will soon be locked, and every snap feels heavier than the one before. The final night before Tuesday's deadline is never soft, never forgiving, and in this case, it's shaping up to be ruthless. Players who have been grinding since the first humid camp morning are about to face either validation or rejection. That's the reality, and pretending otherwise doesn't make sense. The roster questions run deeper than most think. It isn't just about trimming numbers. It's about choosing identities, deciding what kind of football team the Dolphins want to be. And that's where the tension sits, because when you look closer, every position battle drags a shadow of doubt. Who belongs? Who doesn't? Who forces their way in when the math says they shouldn't? Let's start with the wide receivers, because that's where the heartbeat of this roster always pounds. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Malik Washington. Those three are untouchable. Everyone knows it. Nobody's arguing it. Then there's Nick Westbrook-Ikine, who didn't sign for nothing. The guaranteed money ties him to the roster, whether you like his camp performance or not. But is money enough? Because D. Eskridge turned heads, day after day, sprint after sprint. He didn't fade into the background, didn't settle for scraps. He caught the eye. And when a player catches the eye, the whispers start. The clash here isn't just about talent, it's about fit. Westbrook-Ikine gives you size, gives you a different body type compared to Hill, Waddle, Washington. Eskridge mirrors the explosiveness of the top three. Do you double down on speed, or do you guard against sameness and keep the big-body possession guy? This is where the front office has to decide whether versatility or continuity wins. And let's not ignore the back end of the room. Taj Washington against Eric Ezukama. One polished, consistent, steady. The other raw, bigger, willing to do the grunt work on special teams. How do you measure reliability against upside? How do you throw away one when both have carved real arguments? Nobody's answering those questions yet. Not honestly. Tight end doesn't escape the confusion either. The word starter doesn't carry the same meaning at this spot. Julian Hill will line up when physicality is demanded, when blocking defines the play. Darren Waller will step in when speed and creativity shift the design. But behind them, that's where the knife cuts. Pharaoh Brown blocks like a wall. Tanner Conner runs like a receiver. If Waller's body betrays him again, and history tells us not to brush that possibility aside, then leaving Conner exposed could backfire. But Brown offers insurance in the trenches, the kind of work you only notice when it's missing. You can't keep both unless you steal a spot from somewhere else. And so the dilemma turns. How do you balance insurance against explosiveness, risk against necessity? The offensive line, always the sore subject, is no cleaner. Everyone wants stability, but stability doesn't exist here. Austin Jackson's foot injury clouds the picture, but once he's back, the core looks locked. Patrick Paul, Jonas Savaiania, Aaron Brewer, James Daniels, Larry Borum, plus Jackson. That gives 6. But depth? That's where the cracks split wide open. Liam Eichenberg and Andrew Meyer, both sidelined, both without clear timelines. Anytime soon was the phrase McDaniel used, and anytime soon sounds like absence. That forces the Dolphins into ugly math. Who fills the gaps? Daniel Brunskill? Kion Smith? Neither excites, but both might be necessary. And with only 8 linemen likely making the cut, there's no luxury to keep experiments. You pick, you hope. You brace for impact when the season starts and the trenches get violent. Defensive line? Another storm. Kenneth Grant, Jordan Phillips, Zeke Biggers. They were drafted for a reason, and draft picks almost always win ties. Zach Sealer and Benito Jones anchor the group. That already feels like too many. But Matt Dickerson and Matthew Butler aren't disappearing. They had flashes strong enough to make it painful to imagine cutting them loose. But the numbers don't lie. You can't carry 7, maybe not even 6. Which one gets sacrificed? Which one slides through waivers, or doesn't? This is the kind of decision that gnaws at coaches, because you know you're losing something you'd rather keep. And then come the edge defenders, the group that has felt like both luxury and problem all at once. Grayson Murphy, Derek McClendon, they made people talk. They showed up, demanded attention. Then Matthew Judon arrived, and suddenly the room looked overcrowded. Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, their locks. Judon, with his pedigree, almost certainly stays. That's 4. 5 is the magic number, and that leaves one spot. Just one. Murphy, McClendon, Cameron Good, Quentin Bell. You can't stash them all. Good has carved a reputation on special teams, Bell too. How do you weigh flash plays in camp against the grind of hidden yardage contributions? Every angle feels unsatisfying. Every choice cuts too deep. Trades? Everyone throws that word around when rosters get messy. But who's biting? Who's paying real value for players with contracts that swallow cap space or injury histories that scare? Phillips, with his $13 million tag and his durability questions. Who makes that move? Chubb hasn't even played since December 2023, and his contract is another wall. Robinson, forget it. He's untouchable. A cornerstone, not a trade chip. So the idea of clearing the logjam through a deal sounds easy, but in reality, it's smoke. The decision has to come from within, not from outside help. Cornerback is chaos. Pure chaos. Beyond Storm Duck, nothing is steady. Who starts opposite him? Jack Jones Jr.? Maybe by default, because who else is standing? Kendall Sheffield's hurt. Ethan Bonner's hamstring screams uncertainty. Does Bonner get shoved to IR to clear space? That feels possible, maybe even probable. Cam Smith's return to practice adds another wrinkle. He's looked solid enough to justify his spot. But does that settle anything? Not really. And then there's the slot. Jason Marshall Jr. has the inside track now, but Mike Hilton was supposed to be the answer, the veteran, the stabilizer. Instead, his usage has screamed doubt, not confidence. Is he really going to survive the cut? If he doesn't, then the Dolphins are going young at corner in a way that could burn them in September. Every choice here feels like walking a tightrope with no net. Safety feels better, but only slightly. Minkah Fitzpatrick and Ifeatu Melifonwu hold the starting jobs, no question. Elijah Campbell is safe too. But behind them, it gets cloudy. Ashton Davis is waiting on his body to cooperate. Foot, ankle, call it what you want. It's held him back, and availability always matters. Beyond him, there's Dante Trader Jr. and Patrick McMorris, 2 recent draft picks circling the same roster bubble. Jordan Colbert, the first-year guy who's impressed more than most expected, adds to the mess. Do you keep 5? Do you stretch to 6? If you gamble and try to slide one of the rookies to the practice squad, do you lose him? These are the headaches no one envies. The Dolphins don't get to avoid any of it. By Tuesday, the decisions become permanent, at least for now. What looks like a number crunch today will be someone's dream crashing tomorrow.